Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Speak On It, episode 25. I'm your boy, R.W. Coolins. Let's get this thing started. Let's go. Give me them horns. Good morning, Maurice Wigfall. Good morning. Thank you for the support, my brother. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, R.W. Collins from the Speak On It show. Got a little frog in my throat this morning, but we're going to make it through this. Good morning, Ethan Johnson. Good morning, Ethan Johnson. First and foremost, giving honor to the God who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I know y'all still recovering from all that turkey from Thanksgiving. I want to send a belated happy Thanksgiving to everybody from the Speak On This show and myself. You know, I got a little caught up in doing things, cooking and things like that, so I didn't get to send out the messages that I wanted to. So I want to let everybody know that I hope and pray that everyone had a good Thanksgiving with family who you could spend it with. You didn't put anybody at risk with the COVID-19 still going on and things like that. So, you know, we got to compromise and improvise where we have to. So let's get into these formalities. Let's get this out of the way. Follow me, rwcoolins.com. That is the website. Go there. Check out all the information. We're broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube at this point, right now. So you can go there. If you got a comment, as you see, post your comment. We'll put it up on here. We got some things we want to talk about today that are coming around the corner that I think everybody needs to know about. But let me say this first. Last 2 weeks, we had two very, very in-depth interviews. One with Michelle Jones-Austin from the Heal and Rebuild Foundation, Unbreakable Spirit Incorporated. Let me get it right. And Carlia Phillip Summers from, did I just lose it? Rainbow of Love Recovery Foundation. I don't know why I do this. But for those ladies, I appreciate them coming on. I appreciate the information they passed out. And hopefully, if anyone needed that information, they're able to get the help they need. Good morning, Maurice Wigfall. Good morning. Good morning, my sister April. What's going on? Appreciate the support, everybody. Lynn Sewell, good morning, my brother. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Appreciate y'all coming in this morning. Everybody coming in. Good morning, cuz. Good morning, Renee and Bush Richardson. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Whew. Oh, y'all up, man. I figure y'all be laid out after eating all that turkey and everything. But I guess y'all want some information, and that's what I'm going to give y'all this morning. So let's get into this. First. 844-904-2665. That's 844-904-2665. That is the website. You can go there. I mean, that's the phone number, the call-in number. 844-904-2665. I'm tongue-tied, y'all. It's been a week. I ate a lot of turkey, too. I'm not Cornish hens myself. But 844-904-2665. Call in if you want your voice to be heard, or you can make your comments, as I said, on on your Facebook or however you're listening. Good morning, Doug Peterson. Appreciate the support. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So everybody's been watching the news. Everybody's seen things going on in the news, all that type of stuff, you know. Oh, we got an echo going on again? Hold on 1 minute. Appreciate that, bro. I appreciate you letting me know that. Let's see what we can do about this. All right. That should have fixed it right there. Let me know if we good. Let me know if we good. I don't know what this echo thing is. I don't know why, but we should be good now. So let me try that. Okay. Hopefully we don't have that echo no more, and we should be good to go. So let's go. Threw me off again. There we go. 53 days, y'all. 53 days until the inauguration. 53 days until the inauguration. Still going on? Oh, what's going on with the echo thing, man? What's going on? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. We're going to get this right. I don't know why this does this to me. I don't know why. Hopefully we got what we need this time. Shouldn't be no echo now. Hopefully. I don't know what goes on with this thing. I think they change it all the time. So we just gonna continue doing what we're doing. Hopefully we're good to go now. Can everybody hear me out there? Can y'all hear me? All right. All right, let's go. Let's get into this. 53 days until the inauguration, y'all. 53 days until President-elect Joe Biden takes office. Right now, we're standing at 306 to 232 electoral votes. 306 for Biden, 232 for President Trump. Okay, we got some more comments coming in. Let's see if we got. Okay, everybody say we're good. I appreciate y'all. Y'all some y'all my engineers from afar. I appreciate it. I don't know what goes on with this thing. Every once in a while it comes in like that. But we're just not gonna stop us from having a good show. So let's go with this. Everybody, thank you. So let's get into this inauguration thing. So 53 days to the inauguration. 306 to 232. That's where the Electoral College votes sit at this particular time. So President Trump still hadn't conceded, as we all know. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, Trump called an enemy of the people. 2 years after he said he was a fantastic fit for the position that he went in for. Raffensperger said Trump threw him under the bus. He's been getting death threats, all these different things down in Georgia. You know, we got the runoff coming up in Georgia. And we need to make sure that people get out there and vote. January 5th, y'all, in Georgia. January 5th is the runoff in Georgia. These are all the things going on before the inauguration kicks in. January 5th is the runoff in Georgia. Warnock versus Loeffler and Ossoff versus Perdue. Right now, Warnock and Loeffler are neck and neck, and Perdue has a slight edge over Ossoff. So if you're in Georgia and the people in Georgia, this is going to make an impact on the Senate. Right now, it's 50 to 48, I think it is. So if you get these two Democratic seats, it'd be 50-50, and then the tiebreaker is always the vice president if it becomes a tie with whatever they're voting on. People in Georgia need to get out there. You need to do your due diligence. Get out there, vote. Don't just make it a one-time thing. These are things that need to be taken care of because we need to understand if the Senate doesn't change, Mitch McConnell will be the Senate Majority Leader, and things that would go in front of him will sit there just like they are. You got the John Lewis Voting Rights Act still sitting on his desk. You got the stimulus packages still sitting on his desk. You got so many things sitting on his desk, and they left for the holidays to go be with their families with no regard for those who need at this particular moment, at this particular time. Ethan Johnson. I live in Georgia. Brad is a GOP Republican and not a follower of Trump like Brian Kemp. Yeah, I've picked up on that a little bit. And I was listening to some of his press conferences that he's been doing. And it really opens your eyes to the fact that if you're not on the Trump bandwagon, even though you are a Republican, he throws you under the bus. I mean, this man's been getting death threats, all kinds of things, and he's just doing the job that he was hired to do. This shows you that, you know, when you get people in these certain offices and the way they feel about certain things, if there's no way that they can manipulate the people that are in these positions, they throw them under the bus like they're no good, they're not good for anything, as well as if everybody looks around and thinks about it. This is the same thing that's happening right now, and I'm gonna get into this a little bit about these lawsuits that are going on with the vote. And I'm gonna get into that in one of the next segments. But good morning, Kamiko Sue. Good morning, Kamiko Sue King. Let me get that right. But yeah, it's amazing to me that people are still, and I'm not gonna call nobody out for being a supporter of President Trump or anything like that, because if you're a supporter, you truly believe in what he does. No problem with that. That's what you believe. That's what you stand on. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. But you have to look at the big picture. If he's willing to throw people like this under the bus, and he's done it his whole career, whether it was in business, whether it's in politics, his whole career, he's throwing people under the bus to get what he wants and get an advantage at anything he's doing. These are the things that a lot of people don't look at, but you have to look at it this way. He's received over, I think it's 70, 73, 74, 75 million votes in this election. Joe Biden just surpassed 80 million. So it really opens your eyes to the fact that, number one, when we all decide to get out and vote, it makes a difference. Voting makes a difference. As much as people don't want to say it, voting makes a difference. You need to get out and let your voice be heard at the voting booth, at the polls. Number two, if you have that many people that voted for Donald Trump that truly believe in what he speaks and what he says, not to downplay who they are and what they are, but you have to think about it and what draws them, what attracts them to him, what makes them think that he is the right one for what they want and what they need at this time through this administration. It's been 4 years, y'all. And I'm gonna just give this number out there, and this will give you an idea of, you know, where I stand as far as what I see. The federal deficit back in 2017 was 585 million. This is when he first took office, 585 million. In 2020, we have a $3.3 trillion deficit. We went from 585 million to 3.3 trillion in 3 years. 3 years. And what benefit from this debt have the normal everyday citizens like you and me seen that can say that this president or this administration as a whole, to include the Senate and the Congress, has done anything to help our lives, help our income, help our statuses, help this country move forward, other than the people who are and show an allegiance to this administration? To have that much debt and for us to still have homeless people in the streets, the food lines, I'm sure everybody's seen the food lines wrapped around blocks after blocks for people to get food that they need, not because they just want to go because it's a food line, but food that they need. Testing lines for coronavirus stretched around the street for people to get tested because they're not sure if they have it, because there's no cure for it right now. The vaccines are coming. Nobody wants to take the vaccine because they don't trust it. Most people are saying. But you look at all these things that are going on, the pandemic, the homelessness, the unemployment numbers, all the different things you can think about, and we're $3.3 trillion in debt. And we still have so many things, so many needs of the people in this United States of America. And we always hear, it's not the red states, it's not the blue states, it's the United States. But I don't know. There's a report I seen leading up to this inauguration on January 20th. President Trump said he may not attend. Hell, he may not even concede by then. We don't know. But whatever happens, we know that come January 20th, Joe Biden's going to be sworn in as the president, number 46. But right now, there's a concern. This is one concern about President Trump. And they're saying President Trump's financial burdens have experts worried. Can he be trusted with America's secrets? Can Donald Trump, president, let's get this correct now. Let's listen at this and listen to what I'm telling you. Can President Trump the president of the United States of America, the current sitting president of the United States of America, and I'm going to say that one more time, the current sitting president of the United States of America, there are questions of whether he can be trusted after he leaves office with the secrets that he has about what the United States has, does, and how we operate. Can he be trusted? And the reason why is because of his financial burdens. No one truly knows who he owes. They don't know the true amount of what he owes. And they don't know what he will do to get past the fact of not owing and the secrets that America has that he is now open to and understands and knows because of where he sat for the last 4 years are vulnerable because he could use these secrets in exchange for the debt that he owes and for who he may owe. Hey, I don't put this out there unless I read it and I research it. Will he use those secrets for profit? We've seen where this president has no regard for anyone but self in most cases, him and his family. So when you really think about the potential of what he could do or may do, or has the thought process to do, because let me get something straight here. Let me say this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I don't think anyone in our past that has sat in the presidential seat, that this has ever been something that has been worried about in depth. Not to this extent. But then we have people out here who say, along with him, that the election was stolen and all these different things, these lawsuits, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, all these different lawsuits and different things like that. But with that, can he be trusted with the things he's been told and shown in the 4 years he's been there? And not just him. Let's just be honest here. Not just him. This administration has given access to the White House and to these different things that we probably don't even know and haven't even scratched the surface of what is going on behind the scenes with the people that have been in this administration. Now, I don't say this to down talk the president, the position, or any of those things. What I'm doing is I'm giving you information that experts are concerned about with this administration. When you have experts talking about these things, and let's be real here. We have an expert that's in charge of the coronavirus, Dr. Fauci, who's been on all these years, and people have down talked what he had to say. But I go with the experts. And what the experts are saying right now is that we are not sure where this is going to turn out long term. How is it going to benefit him long term? And with that being said, let's go into, I'm going to skip around a little bit right now because I had something else laid out, but let me skip around for a minute. And we're going to get straight into this. Pardon me. Pardon me. Now, everybody knows the President of the United States has pardon power. He has pardon power as an executive in that position. The other day, he pardoned Michael Flynn, retired General Michael Flynn. He commuted Roger Stone's sentence a couple months ago. Now we're getting near the end of his presidency. The writing's on the wall that he lost. The writing's on the wall that the Electoral College is going to vote Joe Biden as the president. We're coming up on Inauguration Day, like I said. So between now and then, you can count on many, many, many more people being pardoned. Because why? Because what he's going to do is he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that those who defended him and took care of him and were charged with things and didn't speak against him are taken care of. Ethan Johnson, why hasn't Rex Tillerson said a word since leaving the administration as Secretary of State? You know, and let's go here for a minute. When you talk about Rex Tillerson, Jim Mattis, Mike Bolton, all those people that served in this administration that came out and left or were supposedly fired right before they resigned or anything like that. You had to look at it in two phases, in my opinion. You have to look at it where these men, Jim Mattis, Tillerson, Bolton, any of the like, a lot of them won't speak out because of their allegiance to the country, per se. I'm going to say per se, their allegiance to the country. Then you have those that are not going to speak out because here's what you have to understand. If they were a part of the administration and these things were going on when they were in the administration, then they're just as guilty because they were involved in the things that were going on and didn't speak up at the time they were in there. So them speaking now, to me, writing books, going on these tours, saying what they want to say now, falls on deaf ears to me. Because my thing is, if you don't speak up at the time, then your words fall on deaf ears after the fact. Now, you'll see a lot of books come out later on about this and that, and people saying this and people saying that, what was going on behind the scenes. But the bottom line is when the, when the Russia investigation was going on, a lot of people could have spoke up. They chose not to. When the impeachment process was going on, a lot of people could have spoke up. They chose not to. And why? A lot of them were more concerned about their long-term careers after the fact and what they may have been drug into during the fact because they were involved, if they were in the administration, that they were looking out for self-interest first and foremost. You can come and tell me anything now about, oh, when we were there, this happened, this happened, this happened. Well, we don't need to know that now. There was a lot of things that they could have said, should have said, would have said at the time if it was more about the country than it was for their self-preservation long-term and their own image that they're trying to portray. At the end of the day, if you don't speak up at the time, it's all about, let's go, it's all about integrity. Doing the right thing, even when nobody's looking. Integrity, integrity, integrity. If you went in there and you had integrity, how did you lose your integrity while you were in there? Or were you more concerned about how you were going to look on the other side? Because as we know, and as we've seen, people fear Donald Trump as far as what he can do to their careers, to their standing, to anything by just the things that he says and the people that follow him. So by that happening and by that being in the equation, a lot of people say, well, you know what? I'm just going to moonwalk out of here quietly and let the chips fall where they may. But then we also hear them call these people patriots and you know, they love the country. And if they love the country that much, they would have spoke out when the things were wrong. But I digress. Let me get back. So Flynn, Stone. So you got all these people from the Russia probe. Rick Gates, George Papadopoulos, Michael Cohen, Paul Manafort, Steve Bannon, Elliot Brody. Now, that Steve Bannon and Elliot Brody are guilty. They being charged for the wall. You know, they were getting money from people about the wall. They were defrauding people money, saying they were building a wall down there in Texas, some additional project to what was going on with the federal side. They took a whole bunch of money and they caught them, and they're up for federal prosecution right now. So you can look for them to be pardoned as well, even though they haven't been sentenced yet. Right as of today, President Trump has given 28 pardons and 16 commutations, which means reduced prison sentences. 28 pardons, 16 commutations, reduced prison sentences. Then there's the question about self-pardon for him and or his family for federal crimes. Now, I'm going to ask this question, and I'm going to ask it facetiously. But if you're the president of the United States and you've been investigating or asking or questioning for your whole entire four-year term about being able to pardon yourself, what does that say? If you're concerned about pardoning yourself from federal prosecution after you leave office, which keep in mind, he's already been, impeached for the Ukraine thing. But if you're already, and you've consistently been asking these questions about being able to pardon yourself, and there's been no charges filed against you in the federal courts, only at the state level, what does that say? Obviously, there are things that he knows and his lawyers know that are around him, to include, I'm going to say it, Job Giuliani, There are people around him in that manner who are setting him up so he can pardon himself, or finding ways that he can pardon himself for the things he's done that they know were out of order. The question is, as we heard Joe Biden say this week, that he's not going to press the DOJ to seek charges against President Trump after he leaves office. But I don't think, personally, that there's a way that they can go around it without something coming out that they're going to have to seek charges for. Because anytime someone's asking somebody to take care of them or take care of yourself before you even get away from wherever you're at, that says something right there. And we have to be cognizant that those 70-some million people who voted for him see nothing wrong with this. Everything's been a witch hunt. Everything's been a hoax. Everything has been that they made his presidency illegitimate. They've been investigating him from the beginning. But you have to truly ask yourself, if you're constantly under investigation, people don't just bring investigations up just because, from my experience. So at the end of the day, you have to look at it and say, okay, if they're investigating these things, the taxes and all the different things that we think about, and why haven't we seen the taxes? All these things, and this started way back before he even took the office. And now we're 4 years later and we still haven't seen the taxes. We still don't know the basis of why we haven't seen the taxes, or whether he increased the profits here and decreased profits there, and all the different things they've been talking about. You have to ask yourself, honestly, if it was you and you had done all these things, would you expect to be investigated? And not only investigated, but would you expect to be charged with whatever you did? But you don't have the luxury of pardoning yourself. You don't have the luxury of saying, well, being that I'm in this position, everything I did, I'm just going to say, let's wipe this off the boards and move on because of where I sit. But for those 80 million who voted for Joe Biden, that decided enough is enough, they understand the fact that you want an upstanding citizen in that seat. But you vote for who you vote for. You support who you support. But at the end of the day, and I'm going to put this out here. At the end of the day, when this election's over and we got a new president in and everything, and people are going about talking about, and they're saying, well, let's let bygones be bygones, and let's leave the past in the past. And people remember. People don't forget. People remember all the disdain that these voters of the Trump side had towards people that didn't look like them. The hatred, the vitriol, all those things that went on through these 4 years, not only during election time, but every single day. Make America great again. What does that truly mean to you? When was America truly great in the essence of what America is supposed to be all about? What? Ethan Johnson. If it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, and sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck. Never forget Atlantic City. Yeah, he cleaned it out. And, the ducks will be mad that you're using them in this situation, but I'm going to go ahead and let you slide because them ducks ain't did nothing to nobody. Just saying. But you're right. At the end of the day, these slogans, this vitriol, the systemic racism that they tried to say is not there, all the different things that we talk about and we've been talking about for these last 4 years. As Malcolm X said it best, the chickens have come home to roost. And we talk about pardons and we talk about these things, and it's like, how the hell did we get here? We got work to do, y'all. And we got to be ready. We got to get ready. Now, this is a story that I read, and it's kind of funny. It goes along the same lines of what we've been talking about, but can I get a refund? Can I get a refund? Now, this shows you the extent that some of the supporters have gone to try to ensure that he was going to get another 4 years. Watch this. A guy named Fred Eshelman. He's a North Carolina-based venture capitalist. He donated, watch this now, $2.5 million to a group that was filing lawsuits challenging the election. The group that he donated the $2.5 million to was a Texas-based group called True the Vote. True the Vote. They call themselves the country's largest voter rights organization. Fred Eshelman wired $2 million on November 5th. Now, mind you, 2 days after the election now. $2 million on November 5th and another $500,000 on November 13th to help with all these lawsuits that were going on. Catherine Engelbert, president of True the Vote, allegedly told Eshelman there was significant evidence that there were numerous instances of illegal ballots being cast and counted in the 2020 general election, and presented a legal strategy called Validate the Vote, which included whistleblowers and sophisticated data modeling. So basically, they laid it all out for Eshelman. They told him everything. They found all these people that were going to testify, all these different things. They had the lawsuit set up, everything. Now, mind you, remember what I said now? He donated $2 million on November 5th. He donated another $500,000 on November 13th. On November 16th, 3 days after they got the final $500,000, True the Vote withdrew all the lawsuits it had filed in Wisconsin, Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Let me say that again. November 13th, he gave him the last part of the 2.5. On November 16th, the organization that he donated it to withdrew all their lawsuits in Wisconsin, Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Mr. Eshelman said he wanted money. He requested a refund the next day on the 17th. I want my 2.5 back because y'all didn't do what y'all said y'all were going to do. I've invested in this organization to do these lawsuits. I want my money back. Now, here's the kicker. True the Vote, the organization he donated the money to, offered Mr. Eshelman not $2.5 million back. They offered him $1 million back if he waived his right to a legal claim. So basically what they said was, well, you gave us 2.5. After we got that $500,000 for you, a couple days later, we realized, you know what? We're going to drop all these lawsuits because they're not going to come to fruition like we thought. But I tell you what we're going to do since you want your money back. We'll give you $1 million. But if we give you the $1 million, you need to write off anything you want as far as coming back against us legally as a claim. Because we can't give you the 2.5, but we'll give you $1 million. Eshelman said, no, heck no. I want my money. So he's suing the organization because they didn't use the money for what they thought. Now, you've heard me many times on this program talk about a money grab. I talked about a money grab when Donald Trump first took office. I talked about a money grab while he's been in office. I've talked about a money grab the whole entire time. I've read some reports. I read some things about people donating to Georgia. And while they're donating to Georgia for the runoffs, the money necessarily will not go to Georgia. The money can be used towards Trump's for his next run in 2024, or they can use it how they want. The money doesn't necessarily have to go to the runoff. Now, this is fine print in these things where they're asking for these donations. But the question comes into play, like this 2.5 million, what are they using the money for when the election's over? What are they using money for when they're dismissing all these cases and they're pulling out of these cases and all these type things? Where is the money going? Who is pocketing this money? Money grab, money grab, money grab. Donald Trump, and I seen it the other day, Donald Trump, since he's been in office, has increased his monetary value by $3.5 million. That's not saying it's a lot, but $3.5 million is a lot of money. But by being president, in that time, he has increased his income or his money, his shares, whatever, by $3.5 million. How? How do you do that? But Mr. Eshelman, he wanted 2.5 back. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to get it or not because, you know, it's a donation. It's a donation to a cause. And I don't think anybody that I've ever known that has donated money to a certain cause has gotten the money back. Well, let me get that right, because Steve Bannon, as I mentioned earlier, and that guy, the other guy, and I can't remember his name right off the top, in the pardons, but Elliot Brody. They're being sued for the wall defunding and the donations from that. So he may be able to get his 2.5 back. At the end of the day, you need to make sure you understand when you're donating this money, what you're donating it to and why you're donating it, and if it's worthwhile donating your hard-earned money to something that doesn't seem like it's going to come out in the best interest of anybody anyway. Be careful with your money, y'all. Be careful with your money. The death penalty. Now, I don't think a lot of people caught this, but it's something that jumped out at me, and I need to bring it up because it's something that a lot of people need to understand. And what jumped out at me is a specific wording that's in this change to the death penalty. The DOJ has rushed to change rules around federal death penalties. They have expanded possible execution methods to include electrocution, and get ready, death by firing squad. Let me read that again for you. The Department of Justice has rushed to change rules around federal death penalties. They have expanded possible execution methods to include electrocution and death by the firing squad. The amendment, named Manner of Federal Executions rule, gives federal prosecutors a wider variety of options for execution in order to avoid delays if the state in which the inmate was sentenced doesn't provide other alternatives. This change will take effect in 30 days. If the state where crimes occurred does not permit death sentences, a judge can designate another state with those laws and utilize their facilities to carry out the execution. Currently, 28 states allow federal and state executions. The way is lethal injection is the primary manner of execution. 9 states allow alternatives such as electrocution, lethal gas, firing squad, and hanging, which was not mentioned in the amendment. Currently, 54 people are on federal death row. Now, let me go back for a minute. If you're accused or you're sentenced to death or life in prison in one state, if that state doesn't offer the death penalty, say by lethal injection, now by firing squad, hanging, or any of these different types, a judge can reach out to another state and use their facilities to do execution while you're in jail serving your time, if you're sentenced to death by execution. So they'll fly you across borders, whatever you want to call it. But what jumped out at me was firing squad, death by firing squad. Now, I'm not really into the laws and different things like that, but when I read this, it jumped out at me because I'm wondering, are we going backwards, or what does this do, or what are they trying to do, or what is this going to do to us as a society? You have the death penalty. It's always been there. You have people that you hear that are on death row, they've been waiting for years and years, and they're going to be killed by lethal injection, gas, different things like that. All of them have these different ones. And then they, when they had electrocution, they said it was inhumane, but now they're bringing it back. Now they're talking about firing squads, even the lethal injection, because they say sometimes the lethal injection doesn't affect others like it does, like it does the other. So the lethal injection is not a true way to kill somebody because of the torture aspect of it and everything like that. But when I read this, and I thought about everything that I hear from people in both parties, Republican Party, Democratic Party, whichever party you want to believe to, or people in general who we talk to on a daily basis. And I read this about if someone commits a crime that they're going to be killed by lethal injection, firing squad, anything like that. And then the first thing that came to my mind is, how can those who call themselves pro-life agree with these death penalties? Is pro-life only at inception, in the womb, We don't think about pro-life when it comes to executing people for crimes. We don't think about pro-life when we talk about the COVID-19 situation. We don't think about pro-life when there's people being murdered in the streets, or people not getting the health care they need, or people dying of homelessness and starving to death and different things like that. We don't think of pro-life then, but we think of pro-life only at inception of a birth. But we've gotten to the point where we're talking about including firing squads, which I'm trying to, that's so ancient that I just don't understand when we talk about these things in our society with the death penalty, and we hear these people talking about pro-life and anti-abortion and all these different things that they talk about and they bring up, and it only stands true when you say pro-life when it talks about birth. But once you're born, your life really doesn't matter. Whether it be affordable health care to keep you alive, whether it be trying to get you through this COVID-19 and the people out here who talk about they're pro-life but don't want to wear a mask to take care of those around them as well as themselves. And I'm not one to get into whether abortion should be legal, whether pro-life, anti-abortion, and all that. Pro-choice, I'm not going to get into that, because it's a conversation that where you stand is where you stand. But what I will say is, when you talk about the death penalty and you leave pro-life totally out of the conversation, what does that tell you? That if someone commits a crime, their life doesn't matter anymore. Now, you'll hear people say, well, they killed somebody, or they murdered somebody, or they did this, or they did that. And I get all that. But who are we to be the judge and jury on earth when the main judge and jury is God? Pro-life, pro-choice, death penalty. To me, it's all inclusive. Because when you're talking about taking a life for a crime, for me, it's no different than you arguing the fact of taking the life of an unborn child. A life is a life. Don't try to separate the two about the unborn child compared to the killer on the street. You're still taking a life. You're still taking a life. Good morning, Big L. Good morning. Appreciate the support, bro. But the death by firing squad, that's the one that jumped out at me, y'all. The death by firing squad. You know, we've heard about the lethal injection, the electrocution, and you've seen movies. I remember the one movie. Oh, I can't remember the name. It was a young black boy. He was 14 years old, I think, that they put in an electric chair. And it was done the wrong way. And it was torture. It was straight torture. True story from the movie was made from, but it was torture. Lethal injection is torture. But we talk about having these SOFA agreements, status of forces agreements, for y'all that don't know, when we go to war, about what we can and what we can't do to the enemy and how we're supposed to be treated and how the enemy's supposed to treat us. And we do these status of forces agreements in time of war. But we have the Department of Justice and the powers that be who continually change and manipulate and put different things in the death penalty that we have for crimes on United States soil. But you're more prone to get the death penalty for doing something on United States soil than you would doing some type of act of war when you're trying to defend the country. I'm torn, y'all. I'm torn. Pro-life, pro-choice, death penalty for R.W. Coolins, all inclusive. All inclusive. A life is a life. A human being is a human being. No matter what you've done in life, no matter what mistakes you may have made. Now the question comes in this. Let's start here. Just a hypothetical. just hypothetical. DOJ puts this into play. Earlier, I talked about where experts are concerned that the president, the current sitting president, they're concerned that he may use the secrets that he knows about the United States and what knowledge he has of the United States and our secrets to be able to get out of debt with another country, which in all rights would be called treason. Which what we understand and what we know from the past when you talk about treason and everything like that, treason was usually done by firing squad back in the day, long time ago, or the death penalty, or so on and so forth. So with that being said, would this president, if found guilty of those charges, would he be up for the death penalty? Or is the death penalty only those who cannot afford the right legal representation to not get to the death penalty part? Just a question. Just something to ponder. I'm trying to use a big word today. Ponder, think, all the above. It's just something that just doesn't sit well with me and my soul when you talk about the death penalty. I just don't. And maybe if I was in a different situation, maybe if I had something that was done to me or a family member or somebody I knew, that I may look at it differently. But at this point in my life, the way I look at things, the way I believe, I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all of the death penalty. That's just my opinion. Feel free to comment if you would like. Mind, body, and soul. Well, the mind, body, and soul segment today is very simple. Very, very, very simple. 2 simple words. And it goes back to what we celebrated on Thursday, Thanksgiving. And those 2 words for the mind, body, and soul segment today are be thankful. Be thankful. When we hear about, or we talk about on Thanksgiving, is most of the time when we hear these things about, what are you thankful for? And on Thanksgiving, we always reflect on everything at that day, at that time, what we can think about that we're thankful for in the moment. But I would ask you and myself, when we talk about being thankful for should be an ongoing, every day, every minute, every living breath you breathe process. Being thankful is not always and only about the material things. Being thankful is more of waking up every day, having your right mind, being able to function on this earth and having another 24 hours to go out and make an impact on someone else's life other than your own. To be able to give back to those who are less fortunate. To go out in this world and let somebody know that, hey, keep on pushing, keep striving, you can make it. Being thankful is not always just about you. Being thankful is something that none of us should take for granted. We should be thankful for our families, our friends, even our enemies. Because all these people in your circle, whether you deal with them or not, make you better than you were the day before, drive you to become better than you were yesterday, and push you to not only be better than you were yesterday, but to impact somebody and let them know that tomorrow is not promised, but what you have today, you need to be thankful for. When I seen on the news and I seen those long lines, as I mentioned, the long lines, the food lines, and I seen all the people giving out turkeys and meals for Thanksgiving and you know, all the different things that I discussed earlier leading up to the holidays. We see it now around Thanksgiving, and we'll see it again for Christmas, of people donating food and getting people out there. But should it take for a holiday to come around, for us to be as generous as we are just on those holidays. I know we're all thankful for what we have, and I know we're all thankful for those who support us in everything we do. But there's something about knowing that you can help somebody, not just on specific days, but every day. I seen an article where a bunch of people got together and they paid for $40,000 worth of, I think it was groceries and things down there in Georgia. People were lying, they all got together, got their money together, pulled it together, and as people were coming through the registers, they were paying for whatever they were purchasing. But you only see this around holiday seasons. How do we get to a point where this is an ongoing process, not just for holidays, but for every day? We talk about the soup kitchens and the transitional housings and all the different things you can think that are giving back to the community. But it seems to me, from my view and things I read, is that the only time there's an overabundance of giving to these places is during the holiday seasons. We see in the wintertime, we see the coat drives, we see, the different drives of giving this and giving that, coats in the winter and different things like that. But people need things in the summer as well. It should not be a seasonal holiday giving time period. It should be an everyday giving time period. And the only way we get used to doing that, excuse me, is for us to recognize that each day we wake up, we are thankful for what we have, and we should feel blessed to give to someone that may not. Be thankful, be grateful, and continue to be blessed, and do your best to bless others. That's what it's all about. And it shouldn't just happen during these seasons. And it shouldn't just happen because of a reason. It should be all the time. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. So, inauguration, y'all. It's coming around the corner. We still got all these lawsuits out there. And I will say this in this manner. The lawsuits that are out there, there's a lot of conversation about it's time to disenfranchise African-American voters. In Michigan, Pennsylvania, the large cities, the large populations of African-American voters, people of color per se. Let them keep putting the lawsuits in. Continue to let them put the lawsuits in over and over and over again. Because one thing that I do believe is that anybody and everyone, anyone and everyone, let me say it, anyone and everyone who went to the polls for this election went and used integrity when they dropped their ballot, whatever way they voted, there was integrity involved. For them to continue to put these lawsuits in saying that this was this voter fraud here and voter fraud there, and they did this and they did that and everything, says more about the fact of you using your voice to go to the polls and let your voice be heard about what changes you want in this United States of America. It says more about you as an upstanding citizen than it does about the people who are trying to disenfranchise your vote. Let them continue doing what they're doing. Because what it does is it exposes the fact that as much as they say your vote doesn't matter, these lawsuits show that your vote truly, truly matters. And at the end of the day, you did your due diligence. We did what we were supposed to do. And the outcome is in the favor of who got the majority vote and where those majority votes landed to secure the Electoral College. In the discussion. There should be no discussion about it. There should be no going back and forth about it. And then you have to ask yourself, when they go out here and they keep throwing these things in here about voter suppression and all these things, understand this. They can talk voter suppression all they want from this point going forward. But this should have been a wake-up call to every voter in the United States of America that if you get out and you do what you're supposed to do with your vote, change can happen. Change can happen, whether it be for the good or for the bad. Change can happen. You just got to be consistent with it. Ethan Johnson, not in Georgia. In Georgia, we are letting the world know the South has something to say. We tired of ignorance. Every vote counts. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brian Hoodie, yes, sir. So, yeah, it's one of those things. And, you know, I will say it this way. Even in the point of those who are on the defeated side, per se, if you add it up, you're talking about 80 million and 73, 75 million. It's a lot of votes when you add them all up. And you still have to think there's some folks who still didn't vote. That's a statement within itself, is that when we take ownership of our processes and let our voices be heard, things can happen. But this should not be the last time. And like I always say, when they always say, oh, this is the first African-American to hold this position, or this is the first African-American female, or this is the first female, or this is the first. Just know this. This is the first time this many votes have been cast for the winner. Total. First of all the votes total. This should not be the last. It should increase year after year after year. It should not drop from this point on, because when it drops, that means we don't care about what goes on in our systems, and then we complain about what's going on in our system. If you look at numbers this year, this election compared to the last election in 2016, it should tell you exactly why you need to get out and vote. We always say voting for the lesser of two evils. It has nothing to do with voting for the lesser of two evils. It has to do with voting your conscience and who you feel is the right person for what you need and your family needs. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be back next week. I'm working on some more interviews so we can, I got a lot of good feedback on the interviews. So I'm working on some good interviews, some other things, some life coaching type things. Also, I've been invited to be on Reverend Dr. Derek Shackelford's leadership conversations on Monday. I think that's the 30th, November 30th, this Monday. I'll put that link up. I'm going to be on there with him talking about leadership. So tune in. I'll put the link on my in the RW Coolins post. Make sure you tune in, listen in, and hey, support your brother. Support a brother while he's doing these things. Enjoy your Thanksgiving weekend. Everybody remember, COVID-19 is still alive and well. COVID-19 is still alive and well. Get out there, get a test if you need to get a test. Take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and wear your mask. Wear your mask. I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to go into detail, but it's getting close. It's getting close to me, and I don't feel comfortable with it being this close. That's all I'm going to say. When you start seeing people within your atmosphere being affected, believe me, it takes on a whole other perspective. You start having aches you didn't think you had. You start running around sniffing just to make sure you can still smell. You start eating things to make sure you can still taste because of the fear, because now it's getting close to you. Do the precautions, wear the mask, stop all the traveling, follow the directions, and not only keep yourself safe, keep the people around you safe. This ain't no joke, y'all. This ain't no joke. And then I hear people talking about they ain't going to take the vaccine. Well, if you're not going to take the vaccine, you might want to start wearing a mask. Just putting it out there. As I always say before I sign off, love yourself, love one another, keep your head up, and most definitely keep your faith in God. I'll be back next week. Again, I'll be on Reverend Dr. Derek Shackelford's leadership conversations on Monday night, and I'll post that link. Appreciate y'all. See y'all next week. Love y'all. Peace.